and life doesn't go sort of okay? What if something goes horribly wrong, like it does in everybody's life? Well, what happens is you get angry. After all I've done for you, God, how can you let this stuff happen to me? I've done my best. I've worked as hard as I could. Why are you letting this stuff happen to me? Why is my life not going the way that it should? Often it happens through comparison, you know. Look at Catherine. You say, she doesn't go to church, she doesn't read her Bible, she doesn't give to charity, but her life is going just great. She's doing better at work, she's got a happier family, she's got more friends. My life is a mess. What's wrong with you, God? Don't you care? You've never even given me a goat. It's the first clue. Elder brothers have this kind of undercurrent of anger. The second clue that you're an elder brother is this phrase, duty without beauty. It's a phrase that was coined by a Presbyterian minister from New York, a guy called Timothy Keller. It's a bit corny, but I think it sums up perfectly exactly what's going on here. You see what the elder brother says, verse 29, all these years I've been slaving for you. What he means is, I've been obeying you, but it's been all grind. It's been all hard work. I've been doing what you've been saying, but it's just been hard work. Elder brothers obey, elder brothers pray. Elder brothers do all the things that they're supposed to do, but it's just like hard work. There's no joy in it. You see, here's the thing. Elder brothers find God useful, but gospel-believing Christians find God beautiful. So you see, elder brothers are obedient, they're faithful, they're diligent. They care for the poor, they read their Bible. Elder brothers obey in order to get God's stuff now or eventually. But you see, gospel-believing Christians obey not to get God's stuff, but just to get God. God is enough. They don't need this other stuff. And sure, giveaway is how an elder brother prays. When elder brothers pray, they petition, they ask for stuff, but they do almost no adoration. They don't spend lots of time contemplating God, adoring God, enjoying God. Because prayer, you see, prayer is a means to an end. Prayer is a duty. Prayer is not a beauty. It's not an end in itself. So an undercurrent of anger, that's one clue. Duty without beauty, that's another clue. The final clue of elder brother lostness is this sense of superiority. You see, if you ground your self-image and value in your performance, in what you do. If you're a hard-working person and that's how you understand yourself, that's how you define yourself, then you have to look down on the person who's a little bit lazy. You have to see yourself as a little bit superior to them, a little bit better than them. If you're a successful person and that's how you define yourself, that's how you understand yourself, that's what makes you you, then you have to look down at the person who hasn't been quite as successful as you. You have to see yourself as a bit superior to them. And if you're a kind of person who defines yourself by all the good things you do here at church, by the work that you do, the way you try and serve God so well, if that's what defines you, then you have to look down at the people who don't do that, who don't give their time and energy and money to the church. See, the elder brother, he looks at the younger brother, and the younger brother's poor while the elder brother's rich. The younger brother is disobedient while the elder brother does what he's told. And because the elder brother defines himself by those things, because those are the things that he thinks makes a person worthwhile, he has to look down on the younger brother. He has to see himself as a little bit better, a little bit superior, a little bit worthy. And of course, therefore he wants nothing to do with the younger brother. So there are some clues, 3 clues of elder brother lostness, an undercurrent of anger, duty without beauty, a sense of superiority. There's something I should probably say at this point. You know, there are people in every church who are baptized, who believe the gospel, who live their life the way that Christianity teaches, and neither I or you or anyone else has the right to look at any other individual and say, well, you know, you, not pointing at anyone specifically, you're just an elder brother. Yeah, I see this smugness in you. I see this anger, this self-righteousness, this superiority. I don't see you growing in grace or love. I don't see you growing in spiritual fruit. I see it all being just a grind for you. You know, you're just an elder brother. None of us has got the right to look at someone else and say that. You know, if your response to what I've been talking about this morning is to think, wow, Greg, that's some interesting stuff. And I really hope that person over there is listening to you. Because he is definitely an elder brother. If you respond like that, that's exactly the wrong kind of response. We don't have the right to make that kind of assessment about anyone else. But we do have the right to make that kind of assessment about ourselves. And there are plenty of us as well. And I put my hand up and say I'm one of them, who are born again, gospel-believing Christians, but we're characterized by what you might call elder brother-ishness. We're elder brother-ishtic. We have a spiritual paradigm where even though we're born again Christians, we keep sliding back into this way, this mode of thinking where it becomes more about performance and less about grace. And when we look at ourselves, we see bits of us that are just like that guy. We see the superiority. Life with God sometimes feels like just a bit of a grind. We see the lack of joy in prayer. We see the undercurrent of anger burgeoning up within us because our lives aren't going the way that we think they should go. We see ourselves trending back towards elder brotherishness. And we don't want it to be like that. So what do you do? What do you do when you see that happening? Well, here's what you've got to do. You've got to look again at the incredible vulnerability of Jesus. You've got to remind yourself what he did. You see, one of the problems that people often have with the Christian gospel is the whole question of whether or not Jesus really had to die. People have been asking that question for hundreds of years. People are still asking it today. You see, historically, Christianity has always said Jesus had to die for our sins. Look at all the evil in the world. Someone has to pay for that. Someone has to atone for it. But some people have read this passage, the passage about the prodigal son, and said, but hang on, that doesn't seem to be what's going on in this passage. Look, the father welcomes the prodigal son back willingly. He gives him a robe. He gives him a ring. He welcomes him back into the family. So this idea of God needing our sins and our evil to be atoned for, this idea of the wrath of God needing to be propitiated, no. He just accepts us. He just welcomes us back in. No one has to pay. You see, if you read the text like that, or if you see that in the text, you're missing the point. Missing one of the most beautiful pictures, I think, that's in the Bible. Because do you remember what we said before? We said that when the younger brother took his inheritance, that meant that everything else that was left